how much the left-wing media hates Augusta. They drop like they have been shot. Like they tore both ACLs at the same time and hurt their ankles. Like, get up and play. Yeah, Tuesday, I'm Eriks. Welcome into the YouTube show. So happy to have you here. I'm going to give you a chance to win a free month in the #1 betting Discord in the world. If you subscribe and like, you got a shot. We have a drawing and somebody wins a free month in the sports Discord. Let's start with Wyndham Clark, who wins the US Open. All right, I'm not going to break down the golf tournament for you. The story with this was people in golf are now furious that people at the course were actively rooting against Wyndham Clark, shouting, "Get in the bunker," stuff like that. Okay. I looked at the tweets here and what they were saying. You know, I'm no Clark fan. I'd rather someone else won, but the crowd behavior towards him today is appalling. Shouting out, "Get in the bunker," and cheering missed putts is out of order. It's something only reserved usually for U.S. Ryder Cups. Look, cheering missed putts is now going to be something that people do, just so you know, and I'll get to that in a second. Another tweet. "The crowd at Shinnecock openly pulling against Wyndham Clark is despicable. Shows some class. So I'm not allowed to root in golf," is what you're telling me. Got it. One final note in the U.S. Open. We need a moratorium on golf tournaments around NYC until further notice. Classless fans. Okay? Maybe so. Maybe so. All right? Get in the bunker is not classy. Nobody's saying it is. But this isn't going anywhere. And this is not just NYC. This is going to be the new way things are. Especially at tournaments where the public and regular people can get in. You know, Augusta's different. First of all, the badges cost $1 million. Second of all, it's usually the same kind of, you know, really elite people there every year, right? So there's none of that. You know, you can't yell, "Get in the bunker," if nobody laughs and you're the only one doing it. And at Augusta, that would be the case. So I'm not worried about Augusta. But you start getting to these public tournaments, and this is going to be the way it is. There's a couple of reasons why. One, it's the way of the world, right? Golf is very stodgy. Okay, I started Morning Drive on Golf Channel. I know that industry. I know those people. I know those golfers. I went to Augusta on Gary Woodland's tickets that he gave to me. Brendan Steele, who's a great golfer, once flew out to Vegas for my birthday, and I hung out with him and, you know, his friend and all that. Like, good dudes, really good guys. But the perception of golf overall is that it's a rich, white, country club, elitist sport. And the regular guy loves shaking that up. The media loves shaking that up. Look, think about how much the left-wing media hates Augusta, right? And anything that tears them down, they're all for. So people are going to want to shake this up, and they're going to feel like they're empowered and justified to do it. But that's not the biggest reason. Second thing, people now want to go viral. And they're essentially, you know, daring you to do something, right? How many times have you seen, you know, advocates or, you know, those agitators? They go up to people and they're filming them and they're like trying to get in their way, trying to get in their way. Go. And if they get touched, they're like, "Oh, you hit me," that kind of stuff, right? You see it all the time. They're called idiots. And people are now doing this. They want to be grabbed. They want Shinnecock to throw them out, and they get to film the whole thing and make a scene. You know what happens? They get famous. And then they sue, and they get their 15 minutes and all that other stuff. You think that's going away? It's not going away in any other walk of life. Why would it go away in golf? There's also number 3, and this is big. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, certainly 15 years ago, there was no legalized gambling on golf. Okay? What you don't realize is people aren't cheering Wyndham Clark missing because they hate Wyndham Clark and they really want someone else to win. This isn't old school Tiger and Phil. They're largely cheering for their money. They have bets now. They have bets on other people to win the tournament. And they're going to cheer, right? I have Xander Schauffele, if I did, for example, and Wyndham Clark misses. What am I doing on my couch? Yeah, let's go, right? That's what we're doing. You don't think the people at the course are going to do that now? It's gambling now. People have hard-earned money on whether that putt is going to drop or not drop. And when it goes their way, they're going to cheer. So golf's got to get over the idea we don't cheer against anybody except for the Ryder Cup. because that's the way we want it. Listen, you lime green sweater wearing dude sweeper. Nobody cares anymore. All right? I get it. Yelling get in the bunker isn't classy. I know that. You know that. The world knows that. But now you're going to have people, Augusta probably the exception because it's the same group every year. You're now going to have people at a lot of these public courses where these professional tournaments are held who can get in. And you know what? They have money on whether the putt is going to go down one way or another. Maybe they have somebody to win, top 20, top 10, head to head, and they're going to cheer for their money. So get used to it. Number 2, Dusty May. He's out at Michigan. Wins a natty. See ya. Like, Dusty May is as good a coach as anybody in the country. Good as Bill Self, as good as Dan Hurley, as good as anybody. Guy takes FAU to the Final Four. Then goes to Michigan, which is a grease fire after Juwan Howard. And immediately wins the natty there. And Michigan was the best team this year. All right? It wasn't like, they got fluky, they got a good draw in the tournament, that kind of thing. They were the best team. Slightly better than Duke. Better than UConn. Better than Arizona, who they absolutely took to the shed head-to-head. Here's the thing. Dusty May goes to the NBA. He's going to the Dallas Mavericks. And I get, sure. Hey, I got Cooper Flagg. I mean, coaching Cooper Flagg. I mean, you don't think somebody would want the San Antonio job if that came open? I could coach Wemby for the next 10 years? Cooper Flagg for the next 10 years? I have greatness on my team, right? When you look at the NFL, what do you want? You want a team that is a quarterback, right? In the NBA, you want a team that is a legitimate top 10 star. Cooper Flagg is going to be a top 10 star. Wemby already is a top 3 star. So these are desirable jobs. The Dallas job is desired. You get also more money. You get Texas income tax rules versus Michigan, that kind of stuff, whatever. But here's really the message from this hire. This is a wake-up call to college basketball. All right? College basketball has an unsustainable model. And you're driving out fans and you're driving out the best people who want to be there. Right? You think Dusty May's the last one who's going to leap? No. Pre-NIL, there weren't that many. What, John Beilein left? All right. Calipari way back in the day. Patino. But we can kind of sort of name them off the top of our heads. Jerry Tarkanian, but that's 30 years ago or whatever. Now it's going to start happening every chance they get. Why? Because the NIL system sucks for guys. It sucks. I mean, if I'm Dusty May, I got to deal with agents in the NBA. Now I got to deal with agents in college too. All right, I got the portal. I got to go beg my school for money because I got to pay everybody. And here's the thing, and here's really what it really comes down to. I have to start from scratch every bleeping year, right? I sign somebody to a max deal. I sign Wemby to a max deal. He's my guy. Next 7 years, right? Luka, Wemby, Joker. Yeah, every once in a while they switch teams. Luka gets traded. But Joker's been with Denver his whole career. Wemby's going to be in San Antonio for a long time. Cooper Flagg can go anywhere in Dallas. You don't have to re-recruit them every year. You have to re-recruit everybody all the time, every year now in college. This idea that everybody is a free agent at the end of the year. Yeah, you love it. I love it. It's like, oh, that's exciting. But you know what? Now you're starting to see the side effects. Would you want to do that? Would you want to kiss the keister of 18 and 19-year-olds who can leave every year and have agents and parents who are paying in the you-know-what? I mean, I got a friend who coaches high school baseball at like one of the private schools. A lot of money to pay tuition, that kind of thing. And I was talking to him the other day, and he says, it's not the kids. The parents are awful. They're awful. Every kid is complaining all the time. Every kid thinks their kid is going to be Aaron Judge. And I'm like, your kid's 5'4", 98 pounds soaking wet, and he thinks he's swinging straight up. And when I tell him you can't swing that way, they're like, why are you trying to change his swing? He's a home run hitter. I'm like, his best shot's an infield fly. They don't want to hear it. You think that college kids who have been told their whole life how great they are, who all think they're going to the NBA, you think you deal with that? No, thank you. And I got to re-recruit those kids every year. And then I got to go beg the school for money. My whole life is trying to convince people every second of the day to either come to my program, stay in my program, or let me have money to pay kids in my program. Nobody wants that. I don't want that. Would you want that job? I mean, yeah, you get a lot of money and all that. But if I could go to the NBA, where the off season, I get to go to the Bahamas, and I know I have Cooper Flagg on my team every year. Look, I went to the University of Michigan Law School. My son is going to the University of Michigan next year as a freshman. All right, Troy, go blue. But here's the thing. I get why he would leave. I would have left. And you know, I try to give you a little life philosophy in every show. Here's today's life philosophy. Don't ever get mad at anybody for doing exactly what you do in that situation, right? It's like the guy in the bar the meathead who walks in with the pretty girl, and, you know, one guy nudges the other guy and goes, what are you looking at? I always thought, dude, if the situation reversed, you would have looked. Like, don't get mad at people for doing what you would do in the exact same situation, right? People, oh, I can't believe you did that. Well, if you had the opportunity, would you have done the same thing? Well, yeah, then don't be mad about it, all right? I can't be mad at Dusty May for leaving Michigan because I would have done the same thing. And I always believe in that. It will make you sleep better at night if you keep that in mind. Don't get mad at anybody for doing what you would have done if you had been in the same situation. That's illogical and stupid. And we're not going to be illogical, and we're not going to be stupid. I got to tell you, I'm not happy with the World Cup so far. I'll get there, but I'm not happy with the World Cup so far. It's not really my end of the pool, but we'll have some fun, and we'll get there with the World Cup. Yeah, that's my little World Cup alert. And then finally, speaking of the World Cup, two things. One, the U.S. coach is a dead ringer for Russell Crowe, right? I mean, I'm not crazy. You saw it too, right? Here's the picture. That's the same guy. Like, if the U.S. ever were to pull this thing off and win, and right now we have about 4% chance to win the whole thing, like, you make the movie. Like, Kurt Russell played Herb Brooks in Miracle, and he did a great job with the U.S. Olympic hockey team in 1980. If we make a movie about this, I mean, just call Russell Crowe. You're the coach. That's it. There's nobody else who even gets to read for the part. Look at the photo. Now, the second thing. Boy, you know, there's flopping in a lot of sports, right? Derek Jeter, I saw him hop around on one foot. Ooh, ah! And he didn't get hit by the pitch. And he was like, well, I was trying to draw, the walk first base. And I always thought, not exactly classy. And the NBA, LeBron's a flop-up, dude. You're all amateurs compared to the soccer guys, right? You are all amateurs. These soccer guys are just beautiful. They drop like they have been shot. Like they tore both ACLs at the same time and hurt their ankles. They are rolling around the turf. And half the time they'll be looking, like look up halfway through their roll around and pain. Did he call it? And if he doesn't call it, they hop up like a deer and start running back to their position. Look, I've been really hurt while I've been writhing in pain, and I've been fine. But I've never been one and then the other in the same 10 seconds. And this happens it's every 5 minutes in every game. Let's look at this video. This is a goalie. He is writhing around like the worst thing in the world has happened to him. He, even if you look, stops and looks at the ref. Is the ref watching me? And when the ref isn't watching, he keeps going. What happens 10 seconds later? It's fine, in the game, jumping up and down. All right, let's go. I mean, come on, man. Look, I know there's a lot of great things about soccer. Right? A lot of great things about soccer. And I love the World Cup. Love it. But the flopping, which I guess you can't really get out of the game. NASCAR always has a saying, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's sort of soccer's. If you ain't flopping, you ain't trying. But every guy bitching about every call, overreacting to every little, time anyone breathes on him. Come on, man. I mean, that's the one thing about this game. It's really hard to watch as an American. People say, oh, America, like, we don't like fakers. We don't like, pansies. Like, get up and play. And soccer sort of encourages the opposite of that. That's the one thing I'd like to get out of there. You can't defend it either. Don't even try. Can't defend it. It's terrible. The rest of it's great. That's terrible. All right. I'll give it to you straight, like nobody else. I don't have a boss. I don't have to. Not gonna. Simple as that. No one's ever gonna tell me what I can say and can't say. So what am I gonna say tomorrow? You'll find out. See you then. Thanks for being in. I'm Eric Casilius, YouTube show.